Hi, I'm Alenka. I'm a children's librarian with the Chicago Public Library, and welcome to this tutorial on how to make a bookmark. So this time I do not have a TinkerCad project to direct you to because this does not align with the TinkerCad project. It's a design inspired by something I found in the TinkerCad gallery. So if you are interested in a fun random design challenge, an option you have is to go through the gallery or even look on somewhere like Instructables or Thingiverse and see if you can find a design that you can backwards engineer. If you're interested in learning more about how to break down objects into simple shapes and then design your own version, check out our tutorial video for the Intro to Primitive Shapes TinkerCad lesson that gets into it in more detail. This is the bookmark that I'm using for inspiration. I find it helpful to have like the thing that inspired me on my work plane. So I am going to leave this here and just bump it over to the side. And we're going to use this as kind of our template. This bookmark is, to me, a lot of rectangles. It's one really big flat rectangle. It has this clip in the middle, so you can clip it onto a page. And then it has these gaps around to make the clip piece. So I'm going to start with a simple box shape. TinkerCad boxes are always 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters. I'm going to keep that width or that length along the x-axis, and then I'm going to make it longer to match my bookmark shape or any bookmark shape. So I'm going to go for 60 millimeters in length. And to resize this, I'm just using the little black square on the bottom here. If you use the white ones, you can change your shape in two directions, and I don't want to do that. I just want to make it longer along the y-axis. Bookmarks have to be flat so that they can fit in a book, so 20 millimeters tall is not really helpful to me here. So I'm going to use the white square on top of my shape. I'm going to click and hold on it and drag it down to about 2 millimeters because it's got to fit in a book, so it's got to be pretty flat. And then I might resize it a little before I print it anyway. That's pretty good. That's a long flat rectangle. Move it up a little bit so we can zoom in. Okay. The next thing I need to do is make this clip piece in the center. So there is a ruler tool here on the right. I'm going to drag that onto my work plane, and the ruler gives you this little red circle so you can line it up to your object. So I've got it right here on the bottom right-hand corner. And when I let go, it gives me all these nice, neat little tick marks. The way the TinkerCad work plane works, or the snap grid, is each of these teeny tiny little squares within the bigger squares is whatever my snap grid measurement is. So right now that's 1 millimeter. I'm not going to be super exact. The point of the ruler is that I can eyeball where things are going to go, and I can use the little tick marks, and I don't have to count and be super exact because the ruler will line it up for me. So I'm going to grab a box that is already a hole, pop it onto my work plane. And I don't want it to be quite this tall because I think it'll be easier to see what I'm doing if it's a little shorter, but I need it to be taller than my original object. Oh, this is my way. So right now it's 8 millimeters tall. Let's make it like 5. And then I want this to be one of the long pieces for this side. So I'm going to make it just 2 millimeters wide. Oops. I actually wanted this measurement. So it doesn't take up too much space in the bookmark because I need the center clip to be kind of big. And then here, I'm going to start using my ruler. So I'm going to take this whole piece that I made, and I'm going to line it up a little ways away from the bottom of my bookmark. So when you use the ruler, it gives you these gray lines. I'll off-center it so you can see better. Oh no. I'm making it taller on accident. Yeah, it gives you these gray lines so you can see if they line up with the blue lines on the ruler. So my goal is to line up with these very bottom lines so that I know I'm pretty equal in my distance away from the corner. I don't have to actually measure it. And then I'm going to make this longer to zoom in to find the tiny little black box. Aha. But I don't want to take it all the way to the top. There we go. Of the rectangle. I need space up here because what you'll get to do is customize your bookmark by adding something to the top. So I need space up there to add an object. And if you go too far, you're just making a hole. The clip piece of your bookmark won't work. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna select my rectangle that is a hole. And up here on the top left, this weird multiplying box icon is the duplicate tool. So when I hit this, it actually makes a second object exactly like this on top of my first object. And I can move it, and I'm going to use the arrow keys so I don't move it up and down by accident. And I actually have two objects. I want to make sure, that I want to align the left side of this rectangle with this tick mark inside my bookmark just to give them some space. So I'm creating that clip on the inside. And I want to make sure everything stayed nice and aligned on the top and the bottom. That looks good. There's now lots of tiny little lines whenever I click on anything. I find it kind of hard to look at objects that way. So I'm going to go ahead and select everything and group these all together. There we go. Just to make it easier to look at. So I'm most of the way there. I have these two long lines. I just need to cut a little hole in the bottom so that I complete the clip piece. So I'm going to get another box that is a hole. So I know, I'm going to make it first 5 millimeters tall again, so it's easier to look at. And I know that my bookmark is about 20 millimeters wide. And I remember I made these rectangles 2 millimeters. So I'm going to also make this 2 millimeters wide. Here we go. And then I'm going to move it over here so I can line it up with those very bottom pieces. But since I left it at 20 millimeters, it takes up too much space on the bookmark. The whole bottom part of my bookmark is going to fall off unless I shrink it. So what I need to do, too far, is shrink it inward. But I can't see the little boxes. There's a tiny little black box in here. I'm going to try and move that in just a millimeter or two. And I'm going to do the same on this side. What I could have done, what I'll do is fix the measurements for this thing before I get it inside the bookmark. So since I knew it was 20 millimeters, I could have made this 18. I didn't do that. That might be a little uneven. Let's group it and find out. It is a little bit, but I kind of don't mind. I think it's like a nice quirk. There's enough space over here that this piece won't fall off. It's not as nice and even as this one, but that's okay. I can, since I goofed that up, you can actually ungroup your stuff. So I can hit the ungroup button, and then I can come back here, zoom in. I'm selecting the wrong object. There we go. And then I can bump this in 1 more millimeter if I want, so that it doesn't make quite such a big hole. That might make my bookmark a little sturdier and less likely to break, so that's not a bad idea. That's all you need the ruler for. So to get rid of it, there's this little X. You'll see dismiss ruler when you hover on it. Now it's gone. I have the base of my bookmark. From here, what you do is really up to you. You have a lot of choices. I would recommend maybe making your bookmark a little wider from this point, just so you have kind of a bigger piece to work with on top. If you want, you can take inspiration from the keychain lesson, and you could pop your name on top of the bookmark. So we made a THCL keychain. I could also make a bookmark this way. And then I can, if my letters didn't fit, I can adjust the width of the bookmark to make them fit. I can also, here we'll delete these, add a shape, but there are a few things to look out for when you add shapes. So let's say I want to add a star to the top of my bookmark. So here in basic shapes, here's a star. Here's a kind of cooler looking star. I can pop this on top of my bookmark and move it around to where I want it, but the star has these pointy pieces on the bottom, and if they stick into the gaps here, the bookmark won't work well as a clip, so I have to make sure it's centered in a way that doesn't cover those up. This star also comes to a tall point at the top, And if that is too far down into the page of the book, it's not going to close properly. So I can't move it like too far in. I need to keep it kind of up here, and I might even want to flatten it a little bit. So just remember that everything kind of below this line where the little gaps start is where your bookmark is going to clip onto a page. And if it's not flat down there, your book isn't going to shut flat. But otherwise, play around with it. Do whatever you want for the topper, or you can put your name, put a shape. And that's pretty much it. Thanks.